Hello everyone, and be welcome to the channel Handmade Pixel. And in today's video, I'm gonna talk about single entry point. Well, it's the part 2. This video is the continuity of the single entry point, part 1. And in this video, I said in the previous video that in the part 2, I will show a more complex way and a truly way to use the single entry point. In this way here, it's used for load in the project Guamba Prime Adventure. This this here, as I showed to you, is the scene builder. This builder here is put in the scene when B is put in the scene before it's loaded, and when scene loaded, this scene builder here is loaded, and of course it will have some parts. That is the scene batch. That is this other code here. This code here is responsible for containing the part of the scene, like the scene part, like the background, like the enemies, like the items, like the characters, and other systems that I want to build. The scene batch is an object that's gonna be out of the scene, and for this object be loaded into the scene, it gonna be we gonna use the instant builder. Gonna use the instant builder to it. That this scene builder gonna have a collection of the scene batches, and that transition HUD, the HUD that holds the handles the transition, and of course the collection of batches. And this collection, when the script starts with the send build starts in the first frame, it gonna starting instantiate the HUD, the transition HUD, to it being applied to not cut direct into the scene. And after that, we're gonna load. We're gonna load all the scenes here, like this right here. We're gonna get a requested batch. We're gonna instantiate the object, the scene batch. Remember, the scene batch here is an object, is a prefab that we're gonna use. We're gonna instantiate it, and we're gonna call the build of this batch. This build here. This build here, as you can see, it contains a progress bar. That is the progress bar here is held by the transition HUD. So this loading bar that you are seeing here, we passes through here to the build batch here, and a progress index that we incremented for each batch. That the batch here, we're gonna get the progress bar. We're gonna this here is just to increment the progress bar. If this progress bar that pass it through here, if this here it's null, it's don't have a value, you're gonna attribute it here. But of course, is to have a value here, so this don't gonna attribute. Here we're gonna first of all detach all the children of the scene batch. That this scene batch contains all the objects and all the smaller objects that are part of the scene. So we're gonna detach them all. And after that, no, first of this, we're gonna get the iBatch chunks. These iBatch chunks, the objects have to receive this. This here, we're gonna use first of all a chunk build. This is just for verify if the build of that specific object is completed. Here in the for we verify it and we passes through it. We if the object is built, we get here and we don't execute this. We pass it directly. And of course the build chunk. This build chunk here, all the object gonna have it's mandatory, and we're gonna call it here. If the object is not built yet, we're gonna call it here to build the object. So as you can see here, this code right here is for an object that gonna is used mainly for the pause of the game. This object I already explained most of its part in the pause of the game in a previous video. So go check this video there. And as you can see here, we have this iBatch chunk here in this object. And of course, this object mandatory, we're gonna have this two here. As you can see here, we have the chunk built here to check if the object is already built. And we have the build chunk is the object for to get built by the send batch here. So the send batch here, we're gonna get all the objects that have to be built in the load, and after I'm gonna detach out of them. We're gonna get the progress bar, a progress to increment into using the progress bar here. We're gonna go to the build chunk of the object here. We're gonna go to every index or in the collection here, and we're gonna increment it in the progress bar the progression that we made with this object here. So we're gonna attribute in the progress bar. First of all, we're gonna retire the previous progress that we made, and attribute it to the progress the actual index plus one divided by the amount of objects that we have in the scene. With this here, we're gonna increment in the progress bar, and after all, we're gonna increment the progress index. This progress that is passing through here, and we're gonna increment plus one in the progress bar also. If we have objects to build, because if we don't have, we just increment one directly. And after that, we destroy this entire object here. Basically, is this. And the start method here is built only for making a delay in the process. Though this here is just to make some progress work correctly, because this here don't because this here make if the send batch is built with this without this makes some errors of continuity. Some things are built before the send batch be ready. So this is all we have gonna have here. Basically, this is all. This unit task, as you can see here, is a project. A project, no, is a library of Unity that implements the uses the task of the C sharp language. Use the task plus some advantages, like the unit task uses stack memory. It not use the heap as the normal text of C sharp. So it's better for Unity. The normal task is too large and too expensive for the unit to solve it to solve it. So the unit task is much better for Unity in general. And after out that the send batch built this, we're gonna return here. Remember this as is a for, and we're gonna pass to the next. After all the send batches be ready, be completed, after all that, we're gonna reduce the opacity of the transition of the HUD or of the load of the HUD. After that, we're gonna unpause our objects. This here, as you can see, the state control is called here. This is for unpause all the objects here that we're gonna go through. And we're gonna destroy the scene builder that we don't gonna use it anymore. The scene builder just full load, and after that we use it, we destroy it. So that's basically the code. All the code that you're gonna need are here. Basically out in the start here. And and this part up here in the code For prevent the scene builder executes the code without permission. The stance here is for if there's two scene builder in the same scene, this prevents for the two executing. So only one scene builder have to have permission to execute in the same scene. Only one have permission to execute. The block builder here is for prevent that after a transition that is made, this the scene builder executes. Scene builder can execute it after transition is made, and then the same batch here. If it's null, the code not gonna be executed. If the length of the same batches are equal or less than 0, not gonna execute as well. So that's basically it. And some things that I forgot to mention, that is this. Up here we have the instance of the same builder, here the block build. This here I'm gonna explain in other videos with the email box here. But this here is a stance that if this is true, as you can see here, this is applied when the stance is applied here. So the is building here is true if the scene builder is building. So when the scene builder is instantiated in this scene, this the scene is building. So this is gonna be true. If the scene builder is destroyed, it's not the scene because it's get destroyed here. So the scene is built already. So this is building gonna be false. This is used for other things that I can show in order. I already gonna show here. I'm gonna catch some here, as you can see in the enemy controller of the enemy script of the I think I can show it here when I'm here. As you can see in this line here, as you can see, the scene builder is called, as you can see here. Here we have a start in the enemy controller in the scene builder here. If this scene is building, if the scene builder is on, this gonna wait while the scene build is on. After the scene build is finished, this gonna pass to the code. This gonna pass to the code down here. So that's it. That's basically all the code that I have to show. And after that, I go to into the entity editor and show this in the practice. How this works in the practice, how this are made in the practice. You have the code here as you already seen, but I'm gonna show it in the code how it works in the editor. So let's go to it. But after I go to Unity Editor, I'm sorry for interrupting this, the continue of the video. But remember that I said the iBatch chunk here is the object that is used by isNbatch to implementing that is built in the load during the load. So this isNbatch here is called in multiples object. As you can see here, I have the Guamba marker that is the main code of the player of the main character. The iBatch check here is here, as you can see, and I go a little lower here in the code, and as you can see here, I have the object here make some of its purpose. So this code here gonna be called when the load is occurring. The same thing is to the enemy controller here. That this object here, this code here, is a code that any enemy of the game has. So as you can see, it have a batch chunk as I showed before. And as I go lower here, as you can see, the build chunk is here. The same thing with before. I have this coin. Here is basically a coin. The same batch chunk. As you can see here, the same thing, a build chunk here. And I have here this surface code that is basically for making sounds and other things that I go progressively build in the during when I get more with this project. But as you can see, the same I batch chunk and the same method here, the same function here, the build chunk here, the same thing, making things for each of these codes, each of these objects. With this, right to the error. And we are here in the Unity editor, and as you can see here, I'm here in the scene of the level 1 of the game, and here I have the scene builder in the scene, as I said before, and in the scene builder here, I have all of these scene badges that are 11 in the total. Here are each part of this is a part of the scene. Why? And one question that you may have: why separate the scene? First of all, it makes the things more clear, and you can make it more process to be more consecutive or sequentially better. Like the background here, the scene batch that is the background here contains only the background controller, and this background controller, it have to be initialized after the main character be prepared. So I have the level 1 character that contains the main character, that's here, one marker here contains the main character, and the main character have to be prepared before the background, because the background gonna be executed, gonna when it's gonna be on, the back the background gonna go overlap the main character, go overlap the player, so the player have to be ready before the background. And these are one of the things that you the mainly thing that the single entry point proportionates to you. Of course, the more other things that are very good that I said before. And as you can see here, 11 the total. You have here the level 1 terrain that contain the terrain of the, as you can see here, this is out the layout of the level 1 is this. And after that, this in the level 1 we have the terrain hidden. This is sent back here. As you can see, they is send this object here that is an object. As you can see here, contains a send batch script, a send batch code. It is here is more for the parts that are hidden or are more like hiding areas, secret areas of the level. So this part here I separated to be more clear. And the things because it's and because the hide areas are more complex and more expensive to load. Here we have the destruct areas that can be destructed. The main character can be destruct these areas. And after that we have the occluded scenes. These occluded scenes here are scenes that are loaded but are occluded. So when the camera enters these scenes, the occluded areas are loaded when so it's loaded only when the camera reach that point. Here we have the items that I can explain somehow. We have lives here, some collectibles. These books here are collectibles. The goal of the level, that's basically the finish of the level, and some other items that are some kind of teleporters that I need. And somehow I'm gonna remove these teleporters from there. That I made before as a code of teleporter, but I don't like too much, and I'm gonna remove it from now on. Here I have all the coins. These coin hiders that you are seeing here, these coin hiders that you are seeing here, are basically basic occludes. That the camera are not in those areas, so as you can see, when the camera are not don't overlap this area here, so the camera overlap this area is loaded. The camera don't overlap this area are don't loaded. So this is to make the performance of the game much better. That is much better. That if imagine all of this being loaded and rendered, the the game would don't support this of the all of these things. I made this for the coins and for the enemies. The enemies too, as you can see, have this here. So all of these squares that you can see have a bunch of enemies inside. And when the camera passes through here, the enemy is loaded. And when the camera gets out, the enemy is unloaded from this area. So this is extremely it's extremely useful way to increase your performance in your game. It's very useful and very practical to use and very easy to make also. Here we have the HUD. Is basically the HUD. Here we have the configuration and the dev screen HUD. Not so much here. And the point, these are the checkpoints of the game. Each the level has only two, so are not so much in the level have. I gonna remade the old level that I showed before. I gonna remade it all. I don't like so much in I don't like so much the level in the total, and I'm gonna remade it in the future. We have the character that I already showed. Here we have some things like the camera occluder is the camera that follows the character, so it have to be with the character. And this spice collector is some character that is some character of the story. So don't ignore this here. And this we have the main character that I showed before. And after all that, we have the background that I showed before too. So I'm gonna go here and press to make the unit run, make a run. And I also gonna pause the game when the things gonna be loaded to you see how the things work and all. So you have this scene here. So as you can see, the game already started. We have the scene builder here with the camera and the transition. Remember this transition here. I also gonna go to the game here, and this is the transition. These are not part here. This here is used for the debug template. This object here. As you can see, this terrain here is part of the object that was the sandbag of the terrain. As you can see here, you have the hiding places. This here, as you notice, is a sandbag. The sandbag that the scene builder made. And go further, it made another. As you can see, they send the hiding places are here. The sandbag of this gone destroyed. And now we have the destructed places, that the third of the sandbags. The fourth, the fourth goal belong that was the iron, as you can see here. The sandbags are the of the irons. Although they are also I'm gonna go make a zoom to this area here to you see better things to show. The coins as you can see here, including have all of this in some of these areas, as you can see here. And one of the things that made I can show in the future episodes, future videos that you can see is the occluder that I showed before. I have a clamor occluder. The occluder, it grabs the coins and occluded the coins as it goals. As you can see here, the cones are hidden in this area that I showed before. This area here is a clue D, part of the clue D. Remember, as you can see, all the coins that are hidden here. Continued, we have the enemies. The enemies gonna be loaded, as you can see here, and the enemies also have a hide, are occluded by the occluder. These areas here that you see in the coins and the enemies are occluder, are the occluder that occludes these objects. And the main character are already here, as you can see, and the background are here too. As you can see, we have the cinematic of the background, and the background will be made it in here in real time in the main character, because the as you can see here, all the background will made, and as you can see here, we have the main character bid here, and the code running normally, and as you can see here. So that's it. That's all the code that I could show to you, and that's it. That's how the single entry point works in the practice, and that's how you can use it. I showed one of this way, that the way that I made. Of course, there are other ways around it, and can be your way to make it, but there is, and that's it. That's the video that I made. I hope you have liked the video. Please like, subscribe the channel Handmade Pixel, share this video with your friends, with your parents, with your siblings, or so on, and comment in the comments of this video. Please comment. The comments are very important for feedback. And that's all, and goodbye.